There's what we say, and then there's what we don't. And often it's the unspoken that holds the most power. Welcome to the Unspoken Edge, a space where hidden dynamics, quiet tensions, and unacknowledged truths are named, held, and turned into grounded action. I'm Rachel Keck, coach, facilitator, and founder of Mosaic Collaborative. I work with visionary leaders who want growth that's sustainable, relational, and real. Here, we explore what's beneath the surface, the energy under leadership, the patterns, resistance, and the truth shaping how we lead and live. In every episode, we'll name what's missing, hold what's tense, and follow the thread to what's real. Because clarity creates traction. And legacy, it's not just what you leave behind, it's how you lead today. Let's begin. Hello, everyone. Today we get to talk to Chelsea Taylor. Chelsea Taylor and I worked together in 2019 at a small commercial real estate firm and property management company. And property management is sort of an industry of turnover. And Chelsea was such a strong contributor and obviously emerging leader when I worked with her, that recently when we came back into each other's orbits, I was like, okay, yes, this gal I like. I want to keep her around. So I'm really excited to have Chelsea on today and about this conversation. So what, Chelsea, do you want people to know about you and what you're doing?
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. Thank you for having me here today. My approach is communication and I am community focused. So I am a community focused business leader. I do work exclusively with business owners in my current role as a financial partner. And my history is sales. I've got housing and a lot of leadership opportunities that has really helped develop me and where I'm at today in my world.
Yeah, I would say I've always experienced you as very growth oriented, very eager for the next learning or expansion of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, which is real, it's wonderful. And it's not like you do it in a double down, forceful way. It's in a very expansive way.
I appreciate that because I feel frustration sometimes with myself and how eager I am to get to that next step. And that's that instant gratification that comes into play that I have to slow down, settle it down until there's time.
Yeah.
There's time for growth.
Yeah, that's right. All in the right time, all in the right time. Okay, well, let me ask you the question of the day, and that is, what is something unspoken that has been shaping how you lead, how you make decisions, or how you connect with others? Something that once you've acknowledged it, it revealed a deeper part of your legacy in the making.
I love that question. And what stood out to me with that, truly what was unspoken, and kind of give you a little bit of a backstory here as to how I found this unspoken thing because it is unspoken. I recently have completed a program through Johnson County, Living as a Leader, and I have attended a few workshops. One actually just last Friday, where I heard from a phenomenal speaker about how she got to where she was. And I mean, she just made a very lovely deal with Campbell's, who bought her personal recipe, if that says anything.
Wow.
And yeah, and she grew up in there wasn't a lot of opportunity, we'll just put it that way. And hearing her speak and taking, her experience and what she had found within herself, laying that out on the table and what I have taken from my leadership program and past leadership positions, it's been adversity. And I didn't realize it has been adversity. What has brought me to where I am was taking adversity and making it opportunity. And because we come into so many situations and we meet and run into so many people, of course, there's going to be adversity. There's going to be something, right, that doesn't align, or something that she said, the closest people to you aren't always your biggest supporter. And sometimes they're the ones that can bring you down more than those outside or who don't know you as well. And that's a big adversity that we experience daily almost, that we don't really take into consideration that, that is something that plays a part in our success and in our growth and where we are as leaders. So, once I realized what it was, and I had a word put into my mouth for it, because as I'm going through these different leadership opportunities in housing, as a sales team leader, now in a financial situation, each of those have their own different areas of growth and change and the dirty laundry that you get to go through in each of those areas, and taking those and turning it into an opportunity and turning my perception and my focus allowed me to approach it with resourcefulness. It allowed me to have resilience in it, and it allowed me to step out on top and place myself where ultimately I wanted to be and where I saw myself. And I think that's where my eagerness, to be in that next level, to be in that growth. I'm a very trial by fire person. Throw me in the fire and let me learn. And it works well for me. I know that sounds really scary. In fact, I didn't know I was a trial by fire person until I was thrown in the fire in a position. And it was a trial, but I came out on top. And it was through all of those changes and those I don't know what to do next thoughts and collaboration with partners that I was able to ultimately be where I needed to be and where I wanted to be.
Yeah. Gosh, you've named so many things that align with the way I see things too. Like even even in getting clarity around adversity as sort of a value or like a
Yeah.
tenet for yourself and how that clarity just can create momentum
Yeah.
around things. I have so many paths of conversation that I want to take with what you just said. But first I want to just call out that you are in a place of I don't know what you would consider yourself, like mid-career or I mean you're not definitely not in the twilight of your career.
Right.
Okay, we'll just say
Right.
that. So you're
Right.
still thinking about your
Good.
yeah, mid-career. Like you're what does this path? Where do I want how expansive do I wanna get? Or
Hmm.
how much do I invest into all of this? Like, it's like a still a real growth place. You're not winding down,
Yeah.
you're winding
No.
up. And I'm excited to dig in just particularly because that's the spot you're in. But I love this idea of, post-traumatic growth because we hear so much about post-traumatic stress that I
Yes.
feel like what you're naming is stress as growth opportunity.
Yes. I think that's a great label for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the friction and not seeing the friction and misalignment as wrong or bad or something to avoid, but something to actually lean into.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And one thing, if I can share this, that I pulled from this recent workshop that I feel like is probably one of the best mantras. If not this, then it's something better.
Uh,
And I have already started applying that in my life, my personal, my business life. And I mean, this was just last week I went to this conference and I have already felt a shift internally when I say that to myself about whether it's a client I'm meeting with or a personal situation I'm dealing with, and I put that in me. The approach that you have to something that you have no control over is so much more beautiful than that of one that, you're still trying to have control over.
yeah. I love just how you said when you put it in you. When you put that concept in and like sort of
Mhm, put it
ran
in
it
your
as an
head.
experiment, right? Of like
Mhm.
what would
Yeah,
it be like to use this as a perspective?
yeah, yeah. And full credit goes to the speaker. Maggie Cook is her name because yep, that was just it stuck with me and I'm like, how can that not stick with you?
Yeah.
That is something so profound that just makes sense to hear.
Tell me about you. So you said you were a trial by fire person. One of the things which you may know about me from working with me, one of my biggest irritations is when we throw people in the deep end without we've taught you a little bit how to swim, at least to doggy paddle or like tread water. We don't do
Mhm.
any of that. We throw you into the deep end and we're on the side of the deep end saying, "Hey, you're okay. I'll throw you a line if it gets really bad." And to me, when you say trial by fire, that's what I think of. And that irritates me when we do that to people. It's just so unfair because not everybody is like you, Chelsea. Not everybody can make that switch. So tell me a little bit about how being in trial by fire situations have been good for you, and did you learn the skills rather than having, because I know you've been in a situation where somebody's calling by the sideline because I was in that situation. So
Yeah.
tell me about that. Tell me about you being in those situations and how you've worked through them.
Yeah, that is a great question. I think my ultimate learning of trial by fire was that situation. And I actually learned that about myself in my first job. So I've always been a go getter. That's just something about me. I've always been go, go, go. This is my next thing I'm doing. This is my next project. This is what I'm saving my money up for. There was always something. And my first job was at a hamburger place. It was called Arctic Circle. It's based in Utah, where I'm from. My goal was to not just be the person taking the order, right? I needed to lead those shifts. I needed to be the shift leader, of course, right? It's just naturally me. What's the first thing I ask, the boss when he hires me? Well, how long does it take to become a shift leader? How do I get to be your assistant manager? Because that's where I wanted to be, right? And I'll do all the other work. I'm not above that, but how do I get to where you are? And he allowed me to do it. And that meant, taking on those extra shifts. He allowed me to have the challenge of creating the schedule. As fun as you think that is, you got people with all sorts of times requested off, and you've got to delegate those appropriately and know when people put that in. Um, and he allowed me to do inventory. That was my first taste of what doing inventory actually looked like and understanding what that meant. So he wasn't necessarily the throw me in the pool and cheer me on. He did cheer me on, but he did give me some floaties. He did give me a rope, to get pulled closer to. But that was when I first really understood that about myself, that my personality is just, I learn better by doing. And I learn better by being involved and hands-on and being a part of.
So I have a story I want to share. I have a part-time job at a tea market, and we had a dad and his 2 children come in. And I'm getting to a point because this is what I feel like you're talking about. A dad and 2 children come in, a son and a daughter, and they came in, and right away, the daughter, who was probably elementary school, saw these little cute dishes that we had to put a tea bag or like a diffuser in.
Love it.
And the
Yeah.
dad was trying to he was like, "Do you want some try this pumpkin spice tea?" And she's like, "Well, it's kind of hot, but this dish over here, I want." And she was adamant. She was not, I mean, like you, she was ambitious. She knew exactly what she wanted and she wanted to get there. And the dad was wonderful in that he didn't get angry about her persistence. But he was standing his ground. "You're not getting the dish today. You're not getting the dish today." And very calm. I mean, his nervous system was calm, which I did compliment him on because,
Good for him. Yeah.
that can
That's
get a
hard
little
sometimes.
irritating. You got a little gnat in your ear. But what I was so sad about after I thought, because something was bothering me, I wanted to give her options like, "Do you have some things you can do around the house to earn the dish? When's your birthday? Could you ask for it
Mhm.
for your birthday?" Like, I wanted to give her agency to get the dish. And the
Mhm.
dad was doing I mean, he was like, "We're not getting the dish today." And I get that. But she wasn't learning what I think that manager did for you is gave you agency to get to where you wanted to go. Like, no, you
Yeah.
can't be a manager right now, but here's some ways you can get to that point: inventory, scheduling. Here's floaties to go practice being kind of like maybe not in the deep end, but
Right.
working your way to the deep end. And I think so many times we don't think about giving agency. We're just like, no, that can't happen right now.
Mhm.
Or we throw them into the deep end without any skills. Like you learned,
Mhm.
he gave you, not only did he give you skills, like real like inventory and scheduling and things like that, but he let you practice them, which then built your confidence so that when you
Yep.
did get thrown in the deep end in the situation we were in together, you were like, okay, I know I can figure this out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that agency is so important.
Very important because it could have been a completely different scenario. And, and I did end up being his assistant manager in the 3 years. I worked there for 3 years and went to school and worked a second job. And, because of that, if he would have approached it in a different way, I could have seen that be a completely different outcome.
Yeah, it really, what a great experience. So how do you take that forward? Like, how does even that experience still inform today?
Yeah. And this is actually something else I learned about myself, mostly when I was going through the leadership program. I had a mentor. She was phenomenal. And she was phenomenal because she would call me out, which is
Yeah.
exactly what she should do. Right. And sometimes you're like, no, your mentor should not call you out. Yes, they should call you out. And she was really good at her approach on it and asking me, so what if you did it this way? And one of the things I did, this is what has kind of developed from my trial by fire. And I will go in and as a leader, I can delegate. But there will be some items that like, I know this person can do it, but I'm just going to do it myself and I'm just going to get it done. And I'm going to add more to my plate of spaghetti because that's what it looks like. And yes, I can handle an extra meatball here and there, right? When really I should have delegated it. I should have trusted my partner, or my teammate, whomever it is, to do the job and to do it successfully. And that was one thing I learned about myself is, I go into something trial by fire. I want that opportunity to make decision. But as a leader, I wasn't giving that opportunity.
Yeah.
And so that is something that I have realized in myself and something that I have actually changed in my leadership approach. And I am more aware of when delegating to my team and to my other associates that I work with to allow them to get that confidence built and to have that experience, just as I did. And though I might go in and bing, bang, boom and get it done in 5 minutes and this person might take 10, I should not take away from that opportunity for them to learn and to grow and to also have a type of trial by fire. And maybe that was their floaty, into this pool or this area that they're diving into. And so for me to know that about myself, realize this about myself and combine them, that's a big adversity right there that I changed into an opportunity to be a better leader, to really sit in stillness and presence in leadership and so that I can allow for growth amongst my team and my peers.
Yeah, I do experience you as sort of a driver. Like here's where we're
I do drive.
going and we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
Dang it. You start your first job with no, how do I get there? I mean, I'll
Yeah.
do this, but I'm
But
gonna
that's
get
what I want.
there.
Yeah. Yep.
But and that does take, you're right. I mean, to cultivate some stillness and cultivate some presence and cultivate some willingness to let go. What you're talking about but not saying is trust,
Yeah.
right? Because
Right.
there's risk for you to let go, and there's risk for the other person to step in because else there's can be miscommunication or
Right.
misunderstanding or a lack of clarity. And so there's
Right.
definitely like risk on both parts. And without risk, you can't create. I mean, trust doesn't happen without some level of
No.
risk. And
Yeah.
so, just being able to notice in yourself all of that, what happens in you and what are you noticing when you're practicing that? So when you are trying to cultivate some stillness and presence and delegate, what are you finding?
In the beginning, when I first started practicing it, I was feeling frustrated. And I
Mhm.
was frustrated at myself because, like, why can't I just allow that, right? Naturally. Why isn't there just a natural flow here? I know I'm, a good leader. I'm good at supporting. I'm great at being a backbone. So why can't I not naturally just let go and not do for them and let them do? And, I read a book recently, well, within the last year, and it is called Stillness Speaks. And it's by Eckhart Tolle. If you've I think we touched on him. Found fantastic book. And it really was eye-opening. When you do sit in that silence, it does speak. And your mind and the mind stories and everything that's going on up here is quiet. And it allows for you to really approach the situation, whatever that might be, if it's delegating, if it's allowing people growth, but to approach it in a present manner and with a presence in leadership. So, what that looks like to me is hearing them. I can listen, but am I hearing what they're saying? Am I hearing what they're needing? Am I hearing what they're asking? And really understanding, their side of it, where they're at, and where I can help. Maybe they don't need my help. Maybe they're like, Chelsea, I've done these for years, just need you to trust me. And because I am so relationship driven in my role, I realize that in order for me to have the relationship I want, I have to step back and allow them to do and not just continue to do.
Mhm.
And once that realization was that light in my head, then the natural feeling came.
Mhm.
Then it felt natural to delegate and to allow that trust to be there, that it would get done and know, hey, if they need me, they're going to come and speak to me or they're going to approach me.
Yeah.
And it just feels seamless now. Whereas before, that could have been a hiccup in my day or something that has been running through my mind that I'm struggling with. And oh, why can't I just let whomever do this, or should I just do it? I don't know. I enjoy doing this, but I should let this person do it, and that comes with events and marketing things that I enjoy doing. But allowing my peers to do what they're meant to do is important too.
Yeah. That's had you not acknowledged and been kind to the frustration that you are feeling, I don't think you would have got to that. Like, you wouldn't have even heard what Eckhart Tolle was saying because the frustration, and that's so you described so beautiful this capacity we have for listening, and like we can take in so much information and even notice these parts of ourselves that, I mean, of course you have a part that gets frustrated because you want to get
Right.
things done. You're ambitious. You want to expand. You want to grow. You want to learn. So of course there's this frustrated part, but being, you know, and naturally saying, why can't I just be why does that have to be
Do it.
there? Why not
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and but how I hear you talk about it goes back to the beginning of you saying adversity is an opportunity for growth, an opportunity. And so even that frustration and having like trying to reconcile that with who you are and who you want to be gets you to where, and here's the thing. I think people can feel that in us without any other information. I think people, whether we tell them, whether we have a conversation like this or not,
Hmm.
they can sense our own relationship inside of ourselves like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very important how we show up, in everyday life as business leaders, because that is the unspoken edge, right? How you show up is completely unspoken, but it is one of the loudest things that people will hear about you.
Yes.
And you're the one telling them. So show up for yourself and have that confidence in yourself because, I mean, and wear that confidence like a sleeve.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Is there anything else in this kind of line of conversation that you want to share? Or anything that I haven't asked?
I think that we all are able to be where we want to be. And I think that allowing ourselves the confidence and allowing ourselves to really step back and look at who we are and who our brand is as an individual is so important because you will learn so much about yourself when you do that. And I appreciate this podcast because it allowed me to really do that.
Awesome.
So thank you.
I love just calling out like our brands, the alignment between our brand internally and how we show up as our own brand and how people
Yeah.
experience us. So how can people find you if they're like, okay, I need to know this Chelsea Taylor that's an amazing leader mid-career that's growing and knows all this amazing stuff, how do they find you?
I would love to connect with anybody who would like to reach out. And you can find me on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, I think it's Chelsea Taylor 23.
Okay.
And I don't have any other social media. I have Instagram, but it's kind of like one of those incognito ones that post inspirational posts.
Okay.
So if you want to follow that, it's called a Life Guided Hub. And that's, yeah.
Great.
And that is where you can find me, other than in the beautiful city of Olathe working with business owners.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you, Rachel.
for your thoughtfulness and your courage and being such a light.
It's been a pleasure. And right back at you. So I'm really grateful to be here today and be in your presence.
Our guests bring such clarity and depth. If you want to explore more of their work, you'll find links in the show notes. And thank you, listener, for joining me on the Unspoken Edge, the place where we name what's missing so you can lead from what matters. If something resonated with you today, share this episode with a friend or a colleague. Leave a review or subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you're navigating unseen tensions in your leadership or culture, let's connect. You'll find me at mosaiccollaborative.com, because legacy isn't a final chapter. It's what you live into, one conversation at a time.